Okay, we're live. Are we live? Could you guys hear me? It's been a long time since I've done one of these. Can I get somebody in the chat box to tell us if you can hear me? Just give me a thumbs up or something. Yes? No? Can you hear me? What's going on? Hold on a second. Okay, I'm standing and waiting for the questions. Super chat donors will have their questions answered. I can't exactly remember. Oh, great. Thank you for the thumbs up. I can't exactly remember how the process works. I hope that I don't screw it up. I think it's supposed to show whomever is donated something, and they're, depending on how much they donate, their question goes to the top of the queue. So, oh, God bless you. Thank you, Joshua. I'm waiting. I don't have anything prepared. I'm an open book of wisdom. Ask me anything you want. But of course, Saad, can you give me investment advice? uh, invest something and wait a long time, and then hopefully the market will go up. I'm waiting for where are my donors? Who's your favorite football team? Did I not set this up properly? I don't know what's happening. Usually I would have a million different super chatters, super donors. Am I missing something? Hold on a second. Happy Passover, God. Thank you. What am I missing here? Top chat. I'm just trying to see all messages are visible. Fan funding. Should I be posting this? No. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see what I'm doing wrong. Am I doing something wrong? Can somebody just donate $1 so I can see if it's working? Something and ask some minimal question. I'm trying to see if the super. Did you watch the whole Joe Rogan Douglas Murray podcast? I don't see a super chat donation. Time has to be monetized, people. I'm away from my family. What's the evolutionary psychology of tariffs? I do actually discuss that briefly in suicidal empathy. No, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any. Hold on. Can't afford a super chat. Oh, I see. But I can afford on Passover to give my time away. Hello, God. Luke Skywalker here. Okay, I'm guessing that's a reference to Star Wars. What's happening here? Am I just going to give an impromptu quick lecture and get out of here? I'm not sure what's happening. Why are there no super chats? I must have done something wrong. We've got 110 people here, 45 thumbs up. What is happening? Uh, just, while we wait to see if the super chat stuff happens, oh, you have Yusuf Al Timimi. Thank you for that small thing. Okay, you didn't put a question, but clearly at least it shows that the super chat process is working. Thank you, Yusuf. Shukran Habibi, which means thank you, my love, in Arabic. I will wait for some super chat questions. Okay, I've got Jessica, The Godfather. Thank you. Okay, now we're coming in at 99 cents at $1.99. Yes, I can finally buy that. I can finally buy that yacht in Newport Beach. No, but thank you very much, guys. Okay, as I wait for specific questions, because I want to make sure to answer anybody's question who is a super chat donor. This Wednesday, I've got who do I have? I've got Josh Hammer, who wrote a book on Israel and its role in the Western civilization. He's coming on this week. I also have Dennis. I think it's Neal. It's Kneale, or maybe Dennis Kneale. He wrote a book. Where is it? This one. He wrote this book, The Leadership Genius of Elon Musk. He's coming on the show on Thursday, I think, or maybe Friday. And next Monday, I've got Douglas Murray on the show. So that's going to be fun. Okay, we've got our first paid question. Thank you to the 3 others who donated small amounts. I really appreciate it. This is Random Commenteroni. Will Harvard give in to Trump? That's a great question. So, as you know, even private universities, but who do receive federal funding, are beholden in some sense. If you're a state school, it slightly changes the dynamics. In Canada, by the way, you don't have really a distinction between private and public universities. Everything is we're a communist, socialist utopia, so everything is funded by the government. But in the U.S., Harvard or Cornell, or Duke are going to be private universities, whereas University of Florida and University of Michigan are public universities. Now, Harvard has, I think, a $55 billion endowment, if I'm not mistaken. I remember when I went, I came very close to getting my first professorship out of Cornell at the Harvard Business School. At the time, just the business school had an endowment of over $1 billion. And so now the question is, are they going to cave in to some of the requirements that Trump's administration is saying? Look, you can't have orgiastic Jew hatred where Jews are afraid to go on campus and so on. Columbia caved, and then all the professors came out and said, "Oh no, Trump is ruling us." No, he's just trying to make sure that people's fundamental constitutional rights are protected. I should be able to go to university without having to navigate through 700 Hamas protesters. So I'm not sure if they will cave in or not. I suspect that they will, because when there is money, there's caving. So we'll see. Thank you for that question. Then we move on to oh, thank you, Daniel Legon. No question, just okay. Lamb not. Will Poiliev win the election? Well, I don't know. The poly market, is that what's called? The betting thing is putting Carney in the lead, which is really astounding. I think Poiliev had at one point a 30 something point lead, 40-point lead. I mean, it was really almost impossible to conceive of how he would lose given Justin Trudeau's 9 years in office. But I'm not exactly sure what Poiliev is doing. I mean, I do hope that he'll win. He certainly is a much better option than the other guy who just came out of nowhere. I mean, really, it's kind of like a parachuted coronation. We've never heard of this guy. He's never served any political office in terms of an elected office. He hasn't lived in Canada. He's got all kinds of financial alleged shenanigan things going on. So I'm not sure. I know that I've reached out to Pierre. Pierre texted me a couple of weeks ago, and I suggested some dates for him to come on the show, and I never heard back from him. I hope that he goes on some relevant shows to get his name out there. He certainly would have a hospitable and friendly host in me, in that I would just ask him questions about the platform and so on. No tricks, no gotcha, no nothing. He could, I think, only benefit from coming on my show, but apparently maybe he's got some consulting types who are saying, don't go on this guy's show, don't go. I don't know, but I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, imagine if Trump hadn't gone on Rogan and so on. It helps to humanize these political figures. It helps when you just have a nice, friendly chat, very intimate. So I mean, there's still enough time for him to do good things. I can't predict if he's going to win, but I mean, it would truly be unbelievable if Carney wins what is effectively a fourth mandate from the Liberals, when on every conceivable metric that you could think of, Canada is astoundingly worse than it was before Trudeau came to power. So we'll see. Thank you for that question. Moving on, no question, just appreciation. Thank you, Daniel Legon. Okay, let me go up. Here we go. Here we go. Clementine, the Beatles or Pink Floyd? What the hell? I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know if you're trolling. I despise the Beatles. The Beatles are auditory jihad. I can't stand them. Okay. So, you could have said a screaming, baby. I would have said it's better than the Beatles. So definitely Pink Floyd. And Pink Floyd is in a sense closer to my era, right? I'm in, first year high school. You've got Pink Floyd, what is it, The Wall? Hey teacher, leave those kids alone. I think that's Pink Floyd, I think. So I'm gonna have to Pink Floyd. Thank you for this other person, the contribution. Zachariah McNaught. Is there any hope for Canada? Is it true they froze Megan Murphy's bank account as soon as she became a candidate. I don't know about the bank account of Megan Murphy. I think she was the one who might have been sitting behind me when I gave my testimony in 2017 in the Canadian Senate um, regarding Bill C-16. So I think that could have been her. Is there any hope for Canada? I mean, I'm increasingly thinking no. I think the demographic realities in Canada are astoundingly bad. I mean, truly, it's shockingly bad. And Canada is incredibly parasitized by all of these bad ideas and by suicidal empathy and so on. So I'd like to be optimistic and say things could change, but it takes a cataclysmic agent of change to institute the types of changes that you would need in Canada. And notwithstanding the fact that I think Poilievre would be a much better prime minister than any of the competitors, I'm not sure that he is that cataclysmic agent of change. So I wish him the best of luck, but we'll wait and see. Okay, let me go on. We're getting some good stuff coming in now. Just making sure that I didn't miss anybody. Yes. Okay, here we go. Zachariah, is there hope? Thank you, Vlad, for your contribution. Have you read any of René Girard's work, Hike from Croatia, I'm guessing? No, I don't know who René Girard is. So sorry, I can't comment on that. Okay, let's keep going. Thank you, Rosa Hollander. The Jews were live in Lebanon in the 1870s shul. Sorry, that's not English. The Jews were live in Lebanon in the 1870s shul. I don't know what that means. A shul is a term for, in a synagogue. Are you asking if did the Jews live in Lebanon in the 1870s? And the answer would certainly be yes. I don't know what the number would have been in 1870, but certainly the last remaining Jews were the ones that left around the time that I left in the mid 70s when the Civil War broke out. By the way, yesterday, April 13, 1975, it's unbelievable, was the 50th year anniversary of the start of the Lebanese Civil War. So here I am, young kid in Lebanon, boom, Civil War starts, unbelievable horrors unfold, and then boom, we're out of there. Luckily, thank God, uh, and so on. So that was yesterday, April 13th, 1975. Dasman 1818, please advise us in the US. We're lost. Well, I've been trying to. As you know, I've posted all sorts of things. I posted about the Muslim groom gangs for years now. I had Tommy Robinson on. He came on my show. I went on his just this past summer. So I'm trying to do whatever I can. I tag Keir Starmer whenever I can. I will be coming to England, by the way, in early June. I'll be speaking at a big London event and then also at the University of, is it Buckingham? I always mix up University of Buckingham or University of Kensington. I can't remember the name. But so I am speaking in England in early June. So hopefully I'll see you at one of those events. Prior to that, I'm speaking in Iceland. And apparently the woke people in Iceland went completely wacko because the really, really super mean Professor Gad Saad is coming to speak in Iceland. Because when it comes to preserving Icelandic culture, what you really want to do is put your cultural might behind Yemeni and Pakistani and Syrian immigrants to Iceland, because those cultures are very, very closely aligned to Icelandic culture. Don't worry, it'll all work out. Okay, let's keep going. Who won the Honey Badger? Who won, the Honey Badger or Dave Smith? Well, I don't like you calling somebody other than me the Honey Badger. You could call him the British Honey Badger, but the Honey Badger, it's this guy. I didn't watch I only watched, so we were, my whole family and I were driving to Ottawa on Thursday. I had a big speaking engagement on Friday morning in Ottawa at the Canada Strong and Free Network Conference, which is the new version of the Manning Institute, or the Manning used to be a very famous politician out of Alberta, sort of a libertarian. And so it's, if you like, a meeting of libertarian and conservatives in Canada. And so I was the special plenary speaker at the event. And on our way there, I listened to about the first 40-45 minutes of the chat between uh, Douglas Murray and Dave Smith. And then I produced a clip, which, has gotten tons and tons of views, where I was making the very simple point that I adore Douglas Murray. I know him well. He's been on my show. We've communicated. He's coming back on my show next Monday. I've been promoting his book. It's all good. All I said was that, it seemed like the small part that I listened to, it was very much, it shouldn't be comedians and guys who know nothing that come on your show and so on. And my point was just restricted to attacking their idiocy. All those anti-Israel guys that went on Joe Rogan have spewed all sorts of nonsense. And I could say, let me take 10 points and demonstrate how they're completely ridiculous without referencing. It's just a stylistic thing. It's a form of debate decorum. Your idea is idiotic because the idea is idiotic, and not because you're just a comedian. That's literally the only point I made. If you see the amount of hate I got because I dared somehow quote critique something that Douglas Murray did, it wasn't even really a critique. It was like, hey, this guy's fantastic, and more power to you. He's the British honey badger, but hey, just stay away from. You've never been to the area, so what does that mean? If somebody's never been to the Holocaust, during the Holocaust, they can't make comments about it. So I didn't think that that was an intelligent, the maximal style of shooting down those guys, Dave Smith, and the rest of those guys that went on Joe Rogan. Other people got upset at me because I'm somehow supposed to disassociate myself from Joe Rogan because he's had guys that spew bullshit about Israel. That's insane, right? I mean, you wouldn't know anything about free speech absolutism or about who I am if you thought that I was going to find such attacks compelling, right? I also get to go on Joe Rogan to defend Israel and defend causes and to warn against Islam. I wouldn't have that opportunity were it not that Joe is gracious enough to invite me. So idiots can go on and spew their nonsense, and other people can go on and hopefully correct the narrative. That's what you do in a free society. So I didn't hear the other sort of substantive parts of the talk, the chat between Douglas Murray and Dave Smith, but I'm sure that I don't doubt that Douglas Murray comported himself with the British elegance that we'd expect of him. All right, let's keep going. Uh, Jessica, have you ever told the story of your childhood from Lebanon to Canada? Would love to hear it if you're open to sharing. Thank you for all you do. Yes, of course I have. I've done it in many ways and on many, in many platforms. But I would certainly invite you to, at the very least, read chapter 1 of The Parasitic Mind, which is where it's right here. Chapter 1, I really do go into quite a bit of details about not all of the relevant details, but a lot of some of the more harrowing details of leaving Lebanon and moving to Canada. So I hope you'll check it out. Thank you, Jessica. Let's keep going. Okay, they're coming in now. I like it. What I love about these? I should do these more often. It's a form of sort of intellectual improvisation, right? You don't know what's coming at you. It's like the slot machine, and you have to kind of react quickly. People can ask you about anything. So I think it's fun, and I should probably do these on a regular basis, but yeah, whatever. Okay, here we go. That Jewish ex-spy in, I don't see what the rest of your name is. Do you see any hope to have Qatar/Muslim Brotherhood money banned from universities? That's a great question. So I don't know about the legal apparatus that would allow this to take place in the United States, but on an abstract philosophical level, I would argue that of course it should be possible, right? You've got foreign agents that espouse values that are, I mean, they couldn't be more antithetical to Western values, who are then buying their way into our institutions so that they can then parasitize our young children or young adults, their minds, right? This is why you get the kind of anti-Israel animus coming out of, Western students, coming from, Western universities, because every political science department and Near East Studies department is being taught in a way whereby, the noble Palestinians are beautiful and peaceful. They just want to live and coexist. And the nasty white Polish Jewish immigrants who came as hardened colonizers who rape everything and kill everybody. I mean, really, nothing could be further from the truth. But that's what's being taught by Professor Ahmed Muhammad Hussein Al Akbar at Columbia University. And so that's what the students end up learning. And then they wear the keffiyeh and they go and say, death, death to Jews. So I would like to think that there should be some sort of mechanism by which hostile entities do not end up buying their way into our institutions, but I'll leave that for the lawyers to work out. Moises Mizrahi. By the way, for those of you who don't know, there are different types of Jews. There is Ashkenazi Jews. Those are the ones that come from Eastern and Central Europe, Poland, Austria, Romania, Russia, and so on, Ukraine. Then you typically have a lumping of all other Jews as Sephardic Jews, but that's technically not true. Sephardic Jews could be from Spain, from Portugal, and so on. But then you've got the Mizrahi Jews. The Mizrahi Jews are, well, like what I am. They're Jews that will typically come from Arabic-speaking countries, uh, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. Uh, you know, uh, North Africa, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we've got here Moises Mizrahi. Thank you for your donation. We've got Brad Bell. Thank you for your donation. And the reason I'm not reading a question is because it's just a donation with no uh, question. We've got the Onyx Codex. Do you believe it's wrong for non-Muslim parents to discourage their daughters from dating and or marrying Muslim men? I'd prefer to reframe that rather than non-Muslim Muslim. I would say all other things equal, and I discussed this in where is it? It's not. I can't see it here. It's behind me. In the Sad Truth About Happiness, which was my latest book, the book after the Parasitic Mind was a book on happiness. In one of the early chapters, I talk about the two decisions that you can make that either impart the maximal amount of happiness or the maximal amount of misery if you make the wrong decision. And that is choosing the right spouse and choosing the right profession. And I get into all the details. Well, to your question, I talk when I'm talking about choosing the right spouse, I discuss the fact that in evolutionary psychology, you got two maxims: opposites attract, or birds of a feather flock together. Which one is more likely to lead to long-term happiness? And the answer is, the research is unequivocal that it's birds of a feather flock together. So, but flocking on which feathers? Same values, same mindset, same life objectives, right? So if I am a very acerbic atheist and my prospective spouse is a very, very religious person, that's already going to put a strain because our relationship to religiosity is not the same, right? And so the more consequential things that we are similar on, the better that relationship would be. So there could be a Muslim man who is completely secular, who believes in all of the foundational values of liberty and freedom, and it might well be the case that that person might be more aligned with the non-Muslim than some other person who, who knows, is misogynistic, is controlling, is dumb, who knows. But all other things equal, there are certain uh, values that come with marrying Muslim men that might create friction with somebody who doesn't come from that culture. So life is a statistical game, and so you want to put as many of the odds on your side. All right, there you go. Let's keep going. Okay, do you believe it's wrong? Okay, we did that one. Moises Mizrahi is back. Why do you believe moderate Islam has no future? Well, I mean, I've discussed this many times. There is no moderate Islam. There is no moderate Judaism. There is Judaism. Judaism prescribes kosher laws. many people decide to ignore those kosher laws. It's not because they're practicing moderate Judaism, it's because they choose to ignore the parts of Judaism that they don't care to follow, right? So I am very much steeped in my Jewish heritage, but I'm not someone who's very practicing in terms of my religiosity. I do eat shrimps. I don't think that the great Lord of the universe cares whether I eat crustaceans or not. But if you are very religious, you think that God absolutely decreed don't eat shellfish. Uh, it's not because I'm practicing moderate Judaism. I'm ignoring the parts that I choose to ignore. So there is no moderate Islam. There is no militant Islam. There's no radical Islam. There's no extremist Islam. There's just Islam. Now, it is true that there are various strands. There is Shia Islam. There is Sunni Islam. There's the Sufi Islam, which is a lot more spiritual and in a sense gentle. But the codified content of Islam is just Islam. Okay. And when you say moderate Islam, what you are referring to are moderate Muslims who choose to ignore the parts of Islam that they don't wish to partake in, like kill, 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 kill. Okay. That's not because they're practicing moderate Islam. It's because they choose, because they are decent, good, peaceful people, they ignore the parts that they don't want. All right. All right. I'm getting warmed up. Noble Bird 02. I'm writing a time travel novel with 19th century, well, I think there's something missing, with 19th Lebanese Jewish boys, I guess 19th century Lebanese Jewish boys, have studied Aramaic at yeshiva before 13. God damn, that's a very specific question. Would shorter Lebanese Jews who live on the east side of Tripoli have studied Aramaic under conditions of, I mean, I don't know, man. In 19th century Lebanese Jews, would they have studied Aramaic at yeshiva before the age of 13? I'm assuming you're saying 13 because that's the bar mitzvah age. What language would darasa the study at this? I don't know. So sorry. I'm very disciplined about what I know and don't know, and I don't BS. I'm not exactly sure what the question is, and I couldn't tell you whether in 19th century Lebanon Jewish kids would have studied Aramaic or not. So sorry, can't help you there. My apologies. CPTG, I sincerely recommend René Girard's Violence and the Sacred, as well as his other works. It is a deep dive in the psychology of sacrifice in history. Interesting. I do very briefly talk about some forms of sacrifice. So in Suicidal Empathy, my forthcoming book, where I talk, since the title of the book is Suicidal Empathy, I get into a cross-cultural and cross-temporal accounting of various forms of suicides, and one of which is a type of sacrificial suicide. And so I do talk about that. So you've tweaked my interest. I'll try to take a look. Thank you for that. René Girard. Okay, I will look for that. Going down. Oops, I must have skipped something. Hold on a second. Okay, we're getting warmed up. This is good. I love this. Okay, guys. I don't know why I don't do more often. I don't do this more often. Okay, we've got Patsy001. What do you attribute this upswing of targeting Jews by popular YouTubers recently? I've never experienced this much hostility on right-wing sites. Well, I've weighed in on this for a while. There are several reasons. I can't specifically speak to right-wing YouTubers, but look, generally speak, well, in the current era, it is certainly the case that you can get a lot of attention by exhibiting anti-Jewish and anti-Israel animus, right? And I've analogized this to how young women will use Instagram to get attention, and in their case, what are they going to use? They're going to use usually their beauty, their physical beauty. They're gonna show themselves in suggestive poses, wearing scantily, being scantily clad. Well, usually male YouTubers who are trying to etch, some niche for themselves within the internet landscape have to find some strategy to draw an audience. And so, regrettably, one of the ways by which you can build a very committed and engaged audience is to go, F the Jews. My problems are because of the Jews, 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 Jews. My girlfriend cheated on me, Jews. I lost my job, Jews. I didn't get a Hollywood acting gig, Jews. Uh, my 401k is down, Jews. And so it's not difficult in the current environment to see how a anti-Jew narrative can certainly attract a very dedicated group of maniacs. So there you go. All right, moving on. The seal of the prophet. Are you bullish on Poilievre's chances? Well, I already addressed this. I right now I think the betting pool is against Poilievre. I'd like to think that Canadians are not going to be so idiotic, but never underestimate the capacity of Canadians to be completely suicidal in their political voting patterns. So, inshallah, we will see. Let's see. Okay, let me go on. Oh, Stephen Evans, Goodfellas or The Godfather. Wow, that's a good one. I like it. Uh, I saw Godfather, many years ago. I mean, not when it first came out, but many, many years ago. I have to say, Goodfellas. I know it's probably it's a bit controversial for me to say that, but I have to say that there are so many iconic scenes in Goodfellas. Of course, you could also say that for Godfather, but it seems a bit more dated cinematographically speaking. I'm talking about Godfather. But if you ask me all-time greatest movies, you didn't ask this. You asked between these two movies. I'm gonna have to go with the 1950s movie. I can't remember if it was 57 or 59. 12 Angry Men, the original, not a mob movie, but out of this world. Now, if you want to stick to mob movies, another one that I love is one of my favorite of all time is A Bronx Tale. Fantastic. Now, in that one, the completely retarded Robert De Niro. I say retarded because it's insane how unhinged he is about Donald Trump. Uh, in this movie, De Niro doesn't play a mobster. He plays a very straight-laced bus driver who's trying to keep his young son from, be, hanging around with the mob. So it's a complete role reversal. Brilliant movie. If you haven't seen it, A Bronx Tale, I think 1993. Soundtrack's fantastic. The whole thing's fantastic. Check it out. Okay, I love this, guys. Let's keep it going. The Cat Lady. Shalom dir achi, which means brother. Now, how you dealing with being magnificent? It's not easy. It's not easy. I got to walk by mirrors. I have to stop and admire myself. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult, but somebody's got to do it. No, but in all seriousness, I love what I do. I love connecting with people. I love spending all day, you know, uh, swimming in ideas, debating. I think it sucks that one gets a lot of hate. I truly am someone who's very warm and playful and so on. So I think even my staunchest haters, if they got to know me, I'd like to think they would like me. So I would love to live in a world where we can debate ideas without all the nastiness. But this is the world we live in. But yeah, thank you. It's not easy being magnificent, but someone has to wear the robe of magnificence. Thank you so much, Cat Lady. The Onyx Codex is back. All things equal, I prefer your explanation better than saying because I said so. Yes. You mean I don't know who you're referring to. Are you talking about the Douglas Murray versus Dave Smith? I'm not sure, but yes. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Fountainhead Forum. Gad, how do I get you on my show? I don't know who you are. Uh, look, the reality is we all have a fixed pie of time, right? Uh, I'm sure there are tons of shows that I end up not going on that would have been absolutely wonderful. I receive hundreds of requests in a given week. I mean, literally. And so, you have to do a triage. Sometimes it's because the person is recommended. Sometimes it's because it's a big forum. So I know that if at least I go on that show, my time will be well served, and that I'm in the business of trying to spread ideas. So I don't know. It's very unlikely that if you have, and again, by the way, I interact, as you probably have seen, with people online that have 12 followers. So it's not as though I modulate with whom I speak as a function of how important they are. But if it comes to going on a show, someone writes to me, "Hey, bro, I just started a new podcast. You want to come on?" I go check it out. It's got 4 subscribers and it has 132 views. Come on, man. All right, here we go. How do I get you on my show? Also, what do you think of Javier Milei? I've done 73 shows talking about him. He's the only hope for the world. Wow, 73 shows. Boy, you're committed in your focus. I've never met him, but of course, I know about his work. I know the astounding economic turnaround he's had in Argentina. Of course, I'm partial to Argentina, if only because of Lionel Messi and the Argentinian national team. So in that sense, I'm an honorary Argentinian. But yeah, I mean, he's got great ideas. I love his flamboyant personality. It's refreshing when a politician is not this. I mean, he's the opposite in terms of his style to someone like Mark Carney, the current interim prime minister of Canada, right? Very scripted, very afraid of his shadow, sucks his thumb and cries. He's afraid to say one word out of place. Whereas Malay is a tornado. He comes in and he just it's the Argentinian tornado. I love that. I love that authenticity. And that's what I appreciate, by the way, in Donald Trump. All right, let's keep going. Fountainhead Forum is back. Oh no, that was I just answered him. Okay, let's go on. There was a boy. Okay, thank you for your contribution. What to do if there is no documented proof left of my Jewish origins? Only the results of a DNA test and a Jewish last name, but Israel is the only state that I truly can and want to be loyal to. So, what do you mean, what to do? What to do about what? You wish to emigrate to Israel? What? I don't know what the question is. If you're only the result of the DNA is Jewish. So if your Jewish last name, is a Jewish one, and you have a DNA test that proves that you are Jewish, I'm not sure what you're asking exactly. Sorry about that. I don't know. I don't know what to answer to that. Okay, let's keep going. The questions are coming in. I'm scrolling to make sure that I don't miss anything. Okay, guys. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, next one. Oh, I remember Bartolome Esteban. Hello, Dr. Saad. How are you doing this Monday evening? I am doing very well. You're always so polite. I do remember you because you have such a unique name. You always have such a gracious and elegant way of interacting with people. So thank you for that. I understand these dire wolves are not actually dire wolves, but the development is nevertheless groundbreaking. What negative outcomes could come out of this? That's amazing that you just asked me this because my wife just told me that the people from Colossal, I think it's called Colossal Sciences, the people who did this project with the dire wolves, just replied to come on my show. So I will keep it there. I think the head of science there, or the scientific director of the company, is coming on, and the head of animal welfare or something like that is also potentially coming on. So stay tuned. I've made contact with those guys. I do think that it was oversold as, we have is extinctified, if I can say it that way, the dire wolves. Not quite, and that's exactly what I thought. It's still some very interesting technology with huge number of implications and applications. So stay tuned. We will definitely get into all that kind of good stuff once they come on my show. I think I'm aiming to have them on the last week of April. So stay tuned. It's going to be amazing. All right. Thank you so much. Nessie, thank you for your contribution. Benjamin Jeffrey, did you finish the beginning of Infinity of by David Deutsch? Oh, look at this. You ready? You ready? Boom. Boom. I got to tell you something. I got to tell you something. David Deutsch. I've spoken to a lot of fantastic people in my life. I mean, I've been a professor for 31 years. I've been the host of my show for many years now. I've had all sorts of unbelievable people. Every single one has been most 99% have been a delight to host on my show. David Deutsch, different animal. The depth, the intellectual profundity of our two conversations is exactly how I imagined every minute of every day would be like in being a professor. Just unadulterated, nonstop, deep intellectual conversation. So, but to answer your question, no, I have not finished it. As a matter of fact, I hate to say it, I have not really started it. I kind of very quickly went through some of the stuff in preparation for our chat and so on. But no, I still look forward to reading it. By the way, just where I am sitting right here, I am completely surrounded by a million books, many of which I've yet to read. One of my biggest stressors in life, God willing, may it be the only stressor in my life, is that how am I going to have time to read all those books? I cannot bear to imagine that there's all of these books within 3 meters of me that I've yet to read. Like, really, you can't imagine my library, how amazing it is, my personal library. So, no, I've not read it. Yes, I plan to read it. David Deutsch, legend, not only as a brain, but just his elegance. He's a gentleman. So we're hoping actually to hook up and connect when I go to England. So maybe I'll have more to say about that later. David Deutsch is a dream. It's the most mind-breaking book. Oh, I hadn't read that yet. Yes. Well, I'm not surprised by that because he's something else. Can you get Jordan Peterson to read it? And we need you and David to talk again. I absolutely agree. uh i am, I was even thinking, you know what, I should probably have like a monthly thing with David. David and Gad go on an e-walk. You know how, not that I wish to compare myself to Gödel or Einstein, but Gödel and Einstein were known to just go for these long walks when they were both at the Institute for Advanced Studies at Princeton. uh I wish that David and I lived in the same city, but if we don't, once a month we just get together for an e-walk and just talk stuff. I think it would be fantastic. David is legendary. He's fantastic. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I always panic given my sort of perfectionism and OCD that I somehow will miss somebody's question. I hope I haven't. I'm systematically going through it. Yusuf El Timimi, thank you. You were the first one to give a donation earlier, so thank you for that. Without a question, but now you have a question. Is it possible for Muslim societies to accept peace? If yes, what needs to change? Do you want me to be honest or do you want me to bullshit you? I think it's the former. No, it's not possible. Now, that doesn't mean that in an Islamic society there is endless killing all day long, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But does Islam promote peaceful coexistence with others? I mean, nothing could be further from the truth, from that. Nothing could be clearer, right? Uh, there are battles between Islam and Buddhists, Islam and atheists, Islam and Hindus, Islam and Christianity, Islam and other sects of Islam, Islam and Judaism. I mean, it's never ending. Okay, where that's why Samuel Huntington, I think it was Samuel Huntington, said that Islam has forever bloody borders. Why? Because it's a supremacist religion. Now, that doesn't mean that individual Muslims might not be perfectly lovely and peaceful, but does Islam, as a codified set of ideas, promote peace? No. It's a supremacist religion. Man more important than women. Humans more important than animals. Muslims more important than the kuffar, the infidels, the dirty infidels, and on, right? So it's a very hierarchical society rooted in power dynamics. So it's very hard to have peace either within the society or across borders because it contains codified elements that don't promote peace. Okay. Nothing could be clearer. All right. So sorry, Yusuf. I hope I haven't upset you with that answer, but it is what it is. By the way, the only way that you have domestic peace in Islamic societies is when you have autocratic rulers. They could be ayatollahs, they could be kings and monarchs, they could be caliphs, they could be dictators. But In order to rein in, even in Islamic society from within, you need strong arm tactics by a supreme leader. That's just history. That's just facts. Okay, let's go on. Brendan Lefton, are there aspects to Canadian culture that you prefer to American culture? Okay, let me start with that one. Um, are there aspects of Canadian culture that I prefer to American culture? I mean, I don't want to be stereotypical and say, oh, Canadians are polite and nice because I've also met a lot of Canadian assholes. So I don't think it's really endemic. I mean, there is an element of less kind of brash, rah rah that comes with some of the stereotypical American stuff that I think is appreciated. Uh, but in terms of my pop culture, I mean, we were talking earlier about Goodfellas versus The Godfather, right? The music I listen to is very much not Canadian. The films I watch are not Canadian. So, is there something in the cultural baggage of Canada that I prefer to the US? I'm afraid to say no. I prefer the American system of can do entrepreneurial, anybody can be anything. Canada is much more of a socialist country, and certainly Quebec even more than the rest of Canada. I don't support that. That's one of the reasons why I've for many years now wanted to leave. So it is what it is. Although, of course, I'm infinitely grateful for having been able to come to Canada and escape the hell that I escaped from in the Middle East. Do you feel more in alignment with the classic American values of liberties and self-reliance? Okay, I hadn't even read that. Thank you. That's exactly right. That's why I always say, in my heart, in the depth of my values that define my personhood, I'm an American, right? I love frontier. I love self reliance, individual liberty. It's not the government that protects me from the bad guys. I have a shotgun and you fuck with me, I kill you, right? Because I have the dignity of being able to defend myself. I love the First Amendment. I love the Second Amendment. Canada is a status, it's a welfare state, right? You subcontract all your individual rights to benevolent big brother who'll take care of you, who will tell you when you will change your winter tires, who will tell you when you can open up your terrace, who will tell you how much of your hard-earned money you get to keep because it's their money. They decide what they want to do with your book royalties. So yes, I'm certainly much more aligned with the United States. Okay, let's keep going. Wow, we're getting. Oh, that's so lovely. I haven't been reading the comments. God is the most rational and compassionate psychologist, philosopher of recent times. Thank you, sir. You're lovely. Love you, Gad. Although it's not Gad. I wish I had time to just read all of those comments. Uh, I love how people try to squeeze in questions without any super donor uh, donations. Vlad gave in some more donation without a question. Thank you very much. Nessie G. Here comes Nessie G. Do you think Christianity would have softened towards Jews without Israel? Is it not the only reason some Christians like us? Do you think Christianity would have softened towards Jews without Israel? I don't quite understand the grammatical structure. I think that there are many Christians who love the Jews, whether Israel existed or not. And I think there are many Christians who hate Jews, whether Israel existed or not. Now, of course, there is an element, for example, evangelical Christians might be Zionist. And in that sense, because of their evangelism, they might have a unique, uh, you know, positive bias towards Israel. But in the whole, I think uh, most Christians would probably support Jews in general because we are a Judeo Christian society. And so, in that sense, all is good. Although, believe me, I have received some unbelievable Jew hatred from some supposed Christians. Yikes. All right, let's keep going. Noam Lifshitz. Any explanation for the rise of auto anti-Semitism? I don't know if that was a typo or do you mean auto anti-Semitism, meaning Jews who hate themselves? Yes, I've explained this many times. I call those wood cricket Jews. And if you don't understand the reference, go back to either the parasitic mind to know about sort of the general neuroparasitic reference or many of my lectures. So Aaron Mate, wood cricket Jew. Gabor Mate, the king of wood cricket Jews. Glenn Greenwald, wood cricket Jews. So there are many interesting phenomena at play when it comes to wood cricket Jews. I won't repeat it here because I've discussed it on many occasions. Thank you very much, Noam. George Kazma, would you consider Canada dead if liberals win? I mean, not dead, but closer to death, right? Look, there isn't a singular thing that could happen over the next X number of years that's going to bring about the literal death of our country. But, you know, I always tell people whenever you're checking the effect of something, only one of three things can happen. If today I get on the diet and the types of decisions I make, at the end of the day, I want to know what happened to my weight. There's only three things that can happen to my weight. My weight can go up, my weight can stay the same, or my weight can go down, right? There is no other option. There is no other state of the world given that intervention of trying to lose weight, correct? Okay, so if the liberals win, are we going to improve the reality in Canada? Is the reality in Canada going to stay the same or is it going to worsen? Well, I think we can venture with quite amount of assuredness that Canada will worsen on whichever metrics matter to us if the liberals win again, because we've got the historical trends of that, right? And so I don't think Canada will die, but it will certainly get a lot worse. Thank you very much for that one. Let's keep going. Let me, oh, I think I just skipped some. It has a weird way of uh, skipping. Okay, let me just find, I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, here we go. Oh my God, there are tons. There are tons. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know why it skips like that. Okay. Hold on. There's really like probably 20 questions in the queue. Okay, here we go. I found David Shehet. Advice for whether or not to pursue a PhD. I'm 20, considering to pursue one in computer science to research AI, but I'm weighing the time cost. I would be 27 after. Uh, all other things equal, if you've got the ability to do so, if you've got the financial means to do so, I would always say all other things equal, study more. If you get your PhD, you finish at 27, you have a PhD in computer science. And if you decide at that point to do nothing to do with that, nobody can take away the training that you've gotten, the journey that you went on. Nobody can take away that PhD from you. You could only win. And so if you're saying 27 as though, oh boy, I'll be old, no, you won't be old. You'll have a PhD in computer science, so do it. I tell two stories in my book on happiness, my latest book, my last book, uh, about a guy who started his undergrad in his 60s, got his master's in his 70s, 80s, and then obtained his PhD in his early 90s at my university, at Concordia University. I tell the story of another guy who already had an MD, already had a PhD in 1967 in biochemistry, but his real love was physics. When he retired from medicine, he went back, got his education in physics, and graduated with a second PhD. He was already an MD and a PhD, got a second PhD at the age of 89. He came on my show. Go back and check it out. Manfred Steiner, I think was his name. At 89 years old, he got his PhD. So you're asking me if at 27 you'll be too old? No. Go get your PhD. Now, if you were to tell me I've got three kids, I don't have the luxury to study more, I need to put food on the table, then that might change the calculus. But if you've got the means, the ability, you've got the parental support, everything is lined up for you to go on and study, do it. And you'll come back to me in a few years and say, Professor Saad, thank you so much for that advice. All right, we got Ferreira P. Is Imam Tawhidi's Islam real Islam in your opinion? It seems like he keeps cleaving to Islam in order to avoid a personal psychological breakdown. It's funny you say Imam Tawhidi. We just recently met. I met him and his wife. We met with one of our kids, my daughter, and my wife and I met him at a cafe in Montreal about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Look, I think there is, I obviously love Imam Tawhidi in that he is trying to uh, soften Islam. He's trying to create a pluralistic, tolerant Islam. Now, does he have the canonical backing to do so? I think not. But in the sense that, is there a way to reform Islam from within so that the non-palpable parts are forevermore eradicated? Well, he certainly hasn't done that, but we need voices like Imam Tawhidi. He is demonstrating that you could have imams of Islam who are not going around saying kill, 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 and so more power to him. Let's go on. The Onyx Codex comes back regarding the question: do you believe it's wrong for non-Muslim parents to discourage their daughters from dating and or marrying Muslim men? I prefer your explanation over parents saying, "Oh, I see. Thank you. Okay, I got you." Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you for that. Look, it's never a good idea to tell someone because I said so. Now, sometimes when a child is very young and you feel that the explanation that you're going to give to justify the parental decision you've made might go above their head, you might say, shut up. That's the way it is. But even for very young children, I've never taken that approach. I've always treated my children with the dignity of the flourishing brains that they have. Now, of course, you have to modulate how you speak to them as a function of their cognitive abilities. Yes, of course. But I don't like the shut up, I told you so. Do what I said, I'm your father. I don't like that power dynamic. Yes, respect me, I'm your father. Yes, I am owed the respect and reverence as your parent, but I want to be a guide for you. So if I take a decision and if I share my wisdom with you, I'd like to explain it rather than decree it from the emperor's lodge. This is why, by the way, if you remember in the parasitic mind, I talked about my relationship with religion early, where I would ask my dad when we're at Wadi Abu Jmil. For those of you who speak Arabic, this is the Jewish quarters in Beirut at the time. When we were at Magen Avraham Synagogue, that's the Hebrew name of the synagogue in Beirut. Uh, I would say, well, why are we standing up now for the shut up, just do it. I said so. Okay, no, explain to me. I'm sitting there for 6 hours on a Saturday at synagogue. I'm 5 years old. I'm full of energy. I want to go play soccer. We stand up, now we sit down, now we do the Macarena to the left, now we go to the right. What's going on? Explain it to me. There is no explain. Just shut up and follow orders. I don't like that. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I got a bit turned off from religion, to be honest with you. Dr. Saad, greetings from your hometown, Montreal. Montreal. How you doing, Dr. Edward Drew? Okay, let's keep going. Michelle, oh no, not Michelle. Michael Marmorstein or Stein. Can you prove the pumping lemma? Oh boy, just jesting, but thanks for the book recommendation. You got it, sir. Very good. Don't worry about it. Thank you for your comment. Should I have spaghetti or pot roast for dinner tomorrow? Oh, okay. You can't go wrong with spaghetti. It's gorgeous. But if you want to have this gorgeous thin face that I have, I used to have a face double the size, then you probably want to avoid the spaghetti. Of course, all good things in moderation. So I would say all other things equal, more protein, less carbs is a good thing. All right, let's keep going. We got some Norwegian. Now, it's a big number, the donation, but I'm thinking it's some Norwegian currency, so it's probably going to be 40 cents. Or maybe I'm going to bite my tongue and it's a huge amount. I don't know. Why do you think the Egyptians Coptics still 100% follow Arabic culture the way they do and haven't returned to at least parts of their old identity? Other conquered groups at least kept their language. Great question. For those of you who don't know, Coptic Christians used to be the complete majority. Egypt was Coptic Christian, and then over many, many centuries, the number of Coptic Christians decreased. We don't know why. It's a mystery why Iraqi Christians disappeared. Syrian Christians are almost disappeared. Lebanese Christians are not disappeared, but they used to be 2/3 of Lebanon. Now they're 1/3 of Lebanon. Coptic Christians, only 10% of Egypt. Who makes them disappear? Who knows? It must be the Jews. It's got to be the Jews. Uh, I think there is an element here. I'm going by your name here, some Norwegian. I think there's an element of the psychology of dhimmitude. Dhimmitude, dhimmi in Arabic is uh, the word that's given for those asshole non-Muslims, the Ahl al-Kutub, the the people of the book, meaning Christians or Jews, who we can tolerate, we meaning us superior Muslims, we can tolerate having these degenerates, kuffar in our society, but they have to be dhimmis. They have to recognize their third, fourth class status. And so oftentimes what happens in those cultures where you have religious minorities in a otherwise dominant society dominated by Islam, you have to develop the free reflex of survival. One of the ways you do that is you sublimate your identity, because otherwise, hey, be careful, Jew. Don't wear that Star of David too big. You're getting too uppity, Jew. And so I suspect that there is some of that dynamic going on in amongst Coptic Christians in Egypt. See, that's one of the things that I love about doing these things. Look, just now in the it's been an hour now, just the number of different types of questions. One question is, should I eat spaghetti or pot roast? And the next question is, what's going on with Coptic Christians in Egypt? That's the beauty of doing this. Let's keep going. Keep it going. We've got almost 500 people here with us. That's pretty good on short notice. Okay, we've got Zulu Charlie. Hello, Professor. What do you think about the burning down of the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania? Yes, this is Josh Shapiro. Do you think this type of violence will be more prevalent as people hold up individuals like the healthcare assassins as heroes? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I mean, of course, I think very badly of what happened. But to your question, do I think it's going to happen more frequently? Yes. There is now a paper that recently came out on assassination culture. And actually, the lead author of that paper reached out to me. Uh, his name is, I think, Joel Finkelstein. And once you normalize the killing of political opponents under a consequentialist ethic, it's okay to kill if the person you're killing is a really bad person. That's a consequentialist ethic rather than a deontological ethic, which would say it is never okay to kill your political enemies. Then you're going to have an increase of this. And I think that regrettably, the party of empathy and tolerance on the left has really internalized that consequentialist ethic. I was actually supposed to appear last week on Will Kane's show to exactly speak about this. I was bumped off by some guy. I don't know, Donald Trump. I don't know who that is. He bumped me off. So I guess I can't be too upset when you're bumped off by the president of the United States. But hopefully, we are rescheduling that appearance for this week. So stay tuned. Will Kane, by the way, one of the loveliest, sweetest guys you'll ever meet in media. All right, let's keep going. Thank you for that, Zulu Charlie. All right, all right. We got Patsy 001. Why was Douglas Murray's appearance a debate instead of a one-on-one discussion? I mean, I don't have any inside information, but I'm going to guess that probably people wrote to Joe Rogan saying, "Hey, it would be great to have these two folks, both of whom have big audiences, hash it out." So I'm guessing that's what it was, but I don't have any inside information as to why they held it in that forum in that way. We have Buzz. When will you be in Iceland? My country is going down the woke train. I will be actually today, earlier today at 2 o'clock. I taped a 1 hour chat with Frosty. I can't remember his last name, who is a big podcaster in Iceland. And one of the reasons why we wanted to hold several media events is because the wokesters in Iceland have gone completely crazy. The extremist professor, the Zionist extremist militant, Jew is coming, and so on. Yeah, I'm none of those things, obviously, but so I'll be there. I think my event is June 2nd. The tickets are available to purchase. I will be at I mean, I don't remember the name of the place, but it's a very, very fancy, beautiful venue. Uh, and so, yeah, please tell your friends, bring them along. There's going to be, I think, book signings, all kinds of things. I'll be speaking for quite a long time. I'm not sure if there'll be a Q&A period, but yeah, it's a big event. Uh, I was hoping to stay longer in Iceland than I will end up doing, only because I then have to immediately leave to go to England. I was also supposed to actually go to Wales to speak at a huge festival there, but then I wasn't able to fit that into the schedule. So there you have it. So early June, please show up. Okay, Soli 1234 AWD2. Would you speak with a decorated sniper on his podcast, H Hour, hosted by you, Kier? He has around 10,000 subs on all his social media. He's also had big names like Nigel Farage, Dr. Mark Gordon. His podcast is growing. Uh, Listen, email me the invite. I usually try to, at the very least, answer everybody, or at least my executive coordinator will answer. I certainly try to read everything and oftentimes answer everything most of the time. I can't promise you that I will, but I'd be happy to consider it. So thank you for that. Uh, by the way, I don't know if you said sniper just to excite me. I mean, I guess anybody would think snipers are cool, but there's something quite magical about snipers, the way that they are able to slowly get close to the target while being completely camouflaged, control their breathing, hit a target from, I don't know, whatever, 1,000 feet away. There's something really almost mythically heroic about snipers. So well played, well played. Okay, let's keep going. By the way, I had Rob O'Neill, who killed Bin Laden, on my show a couple of years ago. So one of the things that I'm most proud about is uh, when I receive fan email from people in the military, because if I'm impressing those guys, and if you know, if I'm going to war with those guys, I'd much rather have them be happy about my work than some uppity Stanford professor with a progressive lisp who's castrated. So keep bringing me that military love. I love it. Okay. I'm just looking at some of the comments. I wish I could read all of them. There's so many cool stuff. Okay. Tobias Magnus. Would you consider entering a debate about the Israel conflict with Gabor Mate, Norman Finkelstein, and Dave Smith, all Jewish? Oh, yeah. Okay. Because they're Jewish, that must mean I should talk to them. Look, my general position on debates, it's not as though I haven't been on platforms with people that are very hostile. I mean, my entire academic career has been navigating a bunch of hostile assholes. So that's not the problem. It's I can be I'm a honey badger, so it's not as though I'm afraid of combat. I don't debate folks like these degenerates because there's nothing that I could ever say. I mean, literally, there is nothing, there is no evidence, no statement, no logic, no reason, no historical facts, no canonical facts, nothing that I could ever offer that would make them move 1 millimeter. What's the point of a debate then? The point of a debate is that both you and I can go into the ring and there is some modicum of likelihood that you might be able to convince me. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to convince me 100% full throttle that I'm going to suddenly, I used to be pro Israel and now I'm going to be free Palestine. But I might say, hey, that's a great point. I hadn't thought of it this way. And I think I agree with you. I'd like to think that I am someone, well, not I'd like to think, I know that I am someone who is open to listening to other viewpoints. And where I think it's appropriate to do so, I'll revise my opinion. None of these guys would ever alter their opinions. So I wouldn't debate them, not because they're beneath me to debate or anything like that. Not at all. I mean, I have debates on the internet with random eggs that have 3 followers. So that's not the point. And by the way, that was the whole point when I did the clip about Douglas Murray shouldn't use credentialism, right? Just debate people on their ideas. But these guys, I'm never going to be able to change them on anything. They are dishonest interlocutors, and therefore there's no point in debating them. So the answer is no. Okay, let's keep going. All right, we're warming up here, people. Martin Thomas, would you be open to visiting the UAE or Bahrain? Uh, Look, I would be in the sense that, look, my mother tongue is Arabic. I love Arabic culture. I have a lot more in common in terms of culture with fellow Arabs who are not Jewish than I do with a Polish Jew from a cultural, ethnic perspective in that sense. So I would love to go to UAE. I would love to go to Bahrain. I've been invited to those places. I've been invited to Abu Dhabi. The problem is, can you truly guarantee my safety? Not just, oh, because I'm Jewish, because I am God Sad, because could there be someone who got upset that I said something that appeared to be anti-Hamas or pro-Israel or pro-Jewish or anti-Islam or whatever it is, and that maniac could, attack me. So it's only in that sense that I experience some trepidation. But in terms of in the abstract, would I love to go there? 100%. I think if we get rid of all of this ancient hatreds in the Middle East and allow the cultural richness to be unleashed onto the world, to be freed, that region would be miraculous because it is the cradle of civilization. It is the the historical, cultural, archaeological uh, richness of the area is only tempered by all of this conflict. Unleash that, release that, free us of all that. My God, it would be unbelievable. So, in a dream world, absolutely, I would love to go there. I would love to be sitting down with all of my fellow brothers, Bedouins, Saudis, whatever, and just laughing, joking, eating good food, riding camels. I don't know, anything you want. I love it. That's what some people don't get. I harbor no hatred. I love that I'm from an Arabic country. Again, Arabic is my mother tongue. It's not Hebrew. Okay. But do I think that there are some religious elements in the region that are problematic? Yes. Would it be better if we can kind of move those ideologies into the 21st century, secularize everything? Yes. So sign me up. If you could guarantee me 100% my safety, I would be delighted to go to that region. By the way, just recently, I appeared on Al Arabiya, which is a Saudi owned major, arguably the biggest platform in the Middle East. I did two-part show with Riz Khan, amazing guy, Muslim background. Riz Khan used to be, uh, you know, top guy at the BBC, top guy at international global CNN, incredibly elegant, incredibly bright, gracious. He came here to Montreal to film me in person. We did 2 hours of discussion on Al Arabiya, where I am critiquing Islam. So there are real lights of optimism that I'm seeing. You've got the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia that's really trying to modernize the society, right? He came out and said, "I don't want to hear about Palestinian causes. They're not. That stuff is not welcome here. I care about my Saudi people. I care about modernizing Saudi Arabia, right?" So even though, yes, of course, he's an Islamic leader, but he is trying to look forward into a world where people can just get along without all this nonsense. So all this to say, I would love to visit. I would love to visit Oman. Oman has some gorgeous. I mean, there are some places in Oman with you've got the red kind of rock formations that goes into a gorgeous sea. Who doesn't want to go there? You know what kind of richness you have there topographically, in terms of just the history, of course, and also in terms of me just being able to go there and just speak in Arabic and be my Arabic self. Don't give a shit if you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, whatever, but you got to make it safe. So I wish one of the biggest regrets I have in my life is that I haven't been able to return to Lebanon and that I haven't been able to take my kids to Lebanon. They've never been, they don't speak Arabic. That's devastatingly tragic. So there you go. Okay, let's keep going. Eric Patti, Thank you for the donation. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Garbled words. While I appreciate your criticism of Mate, could you expand on your thoughts on CPTSD, role of early neglect and abuse on foundation beliefs and adult thriving distinction? Haksamayah. Toda rabba. Haksamayah has a greeting that you say during Jewish holidays. Uh, Toda rabba just means in Hebrew, thank you very much. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by CPT. I'm assuming you mean his trauma stuff. So I'm going to assume that that's what you mean. Gabor Mate is a moron. Was that too undiplomatic? Gabor Mate is the guy who, the old expression, to the one who's holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you gained weight and now you're fat. It's rooted in childhood trauma. You got divorced because you're repeatedly cheating on your wife. That's rooted in childhood trauma. You're having sexual dysfunction problems and you can't get it up in the bedroom. That's childhood trauma. Everything and anything. You have autoimmune disease, childhood trauma, cancer, childhood trauma, asthma, childhood trauma, diabetes, childhood trauma, lack of self esteem, childhood trauma. That's what we fought against with all the Freudian stuff and defeated that stuff. Freud thought everything was due to sexual repression and a lot of the childhood dynamics. And then we know that nearly 99% of the shit that he said was complete nonsense. Freud was very important in putting the unconscious mind on the map. That's great. He deserves all the credit. But the content of his theorizing was straight out of science fiction. Oh, you have OCD? That's because you had a schizophrenic mother who didn't hug you enough. It's just nonsense. It's because you are trying to kill your father to sodomize your mother. It's rooted in the Oedipal complex. Nonsense. Garbage. But it had psychoanalysts making a lot of money for 50, 60, 70 years from the time of Freud until about 20, 30 years ago when it fell out of fashion. Gabor Mate is a product of that, right? He latched onto some, by the way, and again, I'm not trying to imply that it's your credentials that determine it. Gabor Mate has no training in psychology or psychiatry, but he's a physician, therefore he knows about what ails the body, and he knows that all ailments lie in childhood trauma. Well, motherfucker, very few people have had the childhood trauma that I had in the Lebanese Civil War. Why am I not cheating on my wife? Why haven't I picked up diabetes yet? Why don't I have sexual dysfunction? Why have I not developed arthritis? All of those things are due to childhood trauma. Yes? Well, I've had childhood trauma. I haven't had those. So there is nothing that is scientific based in what he said. As a matter of fact, several scientific takedowns of his bullshit have arisen, right? What do you mean by childhood trauma? If my favorite soccer team lost in the World Cup final, would that be childhood trauma? Do I have to be sodomized by priests for it to be childhood trauma? If my mother refused me a second burger at Burger King, would that be childhood trauma? Everything is childhood drama. Nothing is childhood trauma. Everything is due to childhood trauma. You're full of shit. But he's a Holocaust survivor. You see how now I'm speaking sadly? And by the way, he's a Holocaust survivor in that he was in his dad's testicles when the Holocaust was happening. In that sense, he's a Holocaust survivor. So get the F out of here with Mate. Fucking bullshitter. All right, let's go on. Oops, was that new Gad or old Gad? New Gad should have been sweeter on this Passover season. The Onyx Codex. I'll be honest, guy, at some point in the future, if I have to choose between Muslims and AI, presuming the AI's values are aligned with ours, I will choose artificial intelligence over Muslims. That's a statement. It has no questions. Go with God, Habibi. Go with God. We got Soli 1234 AWD2. I'm mostly bedridden due to illness and may never recover due to chronic fatigue. I'm in my late 20s and haven't really lived Any advice? Oh my God. First of all, I'm infinitely sorry. I'm not sure. Uh, oh, due to chronic fatigue. Okay. I guess that's sort of an umbrella term. First, my thoughts go out with you. At least I hope your mind fully functions. You're here with us. I wish I had good advice for you. I could give you, I guess, one advice that relates to bedridden issues. And I discussed this in the last chapter of the happiness book, The Sad Truth About Happiness, where I tell the story of David McCallum, who was a gentleman who came on my show. One of the most extraordinary guys I had on my show. Not a famous guy, not a famous scientist, not a well known politician or whatever. But he spent 29 years in prison for a murder that eventually he was exonerated of the murder. And as we were chatting, I said to him, "You know, you're a much better man than I am because you seem so lacking in vengefulness and vindictiveness. You seem so well adjusted, so, you know, not full of fury, which I think most of us would, I mean, I said, I would want to burn the world down if 3 decades of my life were stolen from me. Not sure how I could survive. You must be the Buddha, Mr. McCallum." And then he said, "You know, I don't think I had it so bad. I have a sister who's bedridden, hence not unlike what you're facing, who's bedridden due to cerebral palsy. And she finds the ability to smile despite her, situation. And so viewed in that context, wasn't so bad for me." And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, and that's why I put it in the book. Because here's a guy who certainly has every possible justification to hate the world. 3 decades of his life were stolen from him. And yet he looks at somebody else, says, "Hey, that person has it worse than me. It's not so bad what I have. Hey, I still hope to be a father." So I think what you have to do, and I almost feel it's insulting for me to say this to you as you're the one who's suffering, but I hope my words give you a tiny bit of solace. I think there's always something that you could look, even in very tragic circumstances, and say, "You know what? I'm here right now. You and I are in communion. We're communicating. We don't know each other, but yet I just heard of your condition. I'm offering some words. The world is magical. We're all united, 6 degrees of separation. Life is magical. We're here for a very short time. And so, whatever you're going through, tomorrow is a new day. I hope I've given you a tiny bit of solace, and I hope you find some sort of peace. That's the best I can do." All right, let's go on. It's kind of hard to pivot from such a difficult topic to something else. Let me go back. I think I skipped some, so I want to go back and make sure that I haven't missed anything. Okay, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, stay with me. Oh my God, I've got so many in the in the queue. I don't know why it just goes down, and there's got to be a better way to time this. Hold on. Okay, there are too many. Hold on, not too many. Keep them coming. If I have to stay here for 5 hours, I don't care. Okay, I don't know now what happened, but I hope I didn't miss any. The one that I see right now is Danny7190, MSW, Masters of Social Work, with desire for psychology background and research experience to progress in my career and clinical practice. Any advice regarding non-woke PhD programs? No, I can't. Look, I appreciate those kinds of questions, but I would need to know a lot more about your unique research interests, your unique focus. There isn't a singular answer. Oh, here are the three non-woke PhD programs. There are woke assholes in every PhD program. There are a few non-woke people, but it depends on your own unique interests. So unfortunately, I can't give you an answer that would be satisfying without delving a lot more into your unique situation. Uh, Tilren, an incredible donation, if I'm recognizing the number there. Thank you so much. Hey, God, just finished The Parasitic Mind. Brilliant. Thank you, sir. Noticing a pattern. Your books go from affective self regulation to cognitive parasites to emotional overactivation. Will the next explore endosymbiotic ideas that help us thrive? Holy moly. That's a lot of multisyllabic words. I like it. My fans and readers are some of the coolest. Well, let me put it this way. I may not put it using the umbrella terms that you used. The the parasitic mind was what happens to our cognitive system when it is parasitized, when it is zombified. But we are a thinking and feeling animal. So, and you're hinting at that in your question. So, if the parasitic mind talks about the parasitic infestation of our cognitive system, my next book, Suicidal Empathy, talks about the parasitic infestation of our emotional system. So, it completes the zombification story. For me to truly parasitize you, I have to zombify your cognition and your emotions, and hence I complete the story. So stay tuned for Suicidal Empathy. Going on to the next person, World Wed AU. I'd still love to know your thoughts on changes to hate speech laws in Victoria, Australia. If you've had a chance to take a look, all the best, Professor, and the wedding invitation still stands. Oh my God, I must admit, I'm a bit lost about the wedding invitation. I'm not sure what that refers to. I do know, because you mentioned Victoria, just yesterday, I read an email from a woman in Melbourne. Her husband is a professor in Melbourne. He's a surgeon, and he apparently is a fan, and they'd like to invite me for a conversation in Melbourne, Australia. So I don't know if you're that person. I don't think so. I don't know enough about the hate speech laws in Victoria or what you're specifically alluding to, but I do know that Australia is very, very wokeified. And so I would love an opportunity to return to Australia. By the way, 2001, my first sabbatical leave ever. My wife and I didn't have children yet. I went on a 7-week sabbatical leave. Well, the sabbatical leave was a year, but 7 weeks of which I went to Australia and New Zealand, spent 5 weeks in Australia, 2 weeks in New Zealand. I don't think I would be exaggerating in saying it was the greatest trip of my life. And largely due to the magic of those two countries, ridiculously good coffee. Uh, the day we arrive to Sydney, Australia, after, I don't know what, 30-hour journey, we put our stuff away at King's Cross. For those of you who know Sydney, it's a rather weird area. We start walking. We're zombies. We're tired, but we just want to get out and explore. We land at this cafe. I order a flat white, having never had a flat white, and I suddenly found God again, because that flat white was the singular greatest cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. And I've been chasing that high ever since. So, to my Australian fans, put together the money, raise the funds, invite Dr. Goodlooks to Australia. I'll be there in a heartbeat, but make it worth my while. Thank you so much, World Wed AU. Going on to Solid 1234 AWD2, who comes back. How can we make sure we don't miss live stream? Found this by chance. Well, I pin it as a alert on my X feed. Then I take a screenshot of it and I post it all over my social media. And I've been doing so repeatedly for 10 days. So I'm not exactly sure what more I could do. Uh, I hope that you at least subscribe to my, or at least you're a follower on my X feed, because then you would certainly not miss the fact that I'm holding these, and I definitely have to hold them more often. It really is a function of only time. If I had more time, I would do them certainly once a week, because it's such a cool way to connect with people and to really build a new engaged audience. I also do have, by the way, a subscriber. It's a small fee, like I think $5-6 per month or whatever it is, where you get access to exclusive content. So I will post book recommendations or academic articles that I really love and stuff like that on my X feed for subscribers. So that's another place that you can go to. Okay, let's keep going. I'm so panicking that I could have missed anybody. I hope not. Hi, Gad. Where do I meet conservative people in Montreal, where everyone seems to be liberal? Love the parasitic mind, by the way. Thank you very much. I don't know of specific gatherings of conservatives. I tend to be very much someone who has a very small circle of friends that I trust. Because I'm so much in the public eye, I don't go out to a lot of these gatherings and clubs because half my life is spent lecturing and meeting people and media and so on. So once I am in my hometown, I tend to generally be a rather homebody. I prefer to be with my family, with my wife, with my kids. So I couldn't tell you about conservative clubs and so on, but I'm sure you can find them if you look for them. All right, moving on. Uh, Arham, blanket ban from Muslim countries or vet them? Uh, Look, all good things in moderation. I think you need to make sure that the number of people that come from cultures that are otherwise antithetical to our values has to be limited so that there is never any demographic threats to the host society. It's as simple as that. I don't know how you can vet people. There is no machine that has been developed that we can put you through to really know what's in your heart and mind, right? If you're gonna ask people a questionnaire, then it's not going to be very difficult to be able to game that and say whatever needs to be said so that you could be allowed in. So no, I'm not a proponent of vetting. I'm a proponent of smart and optimal uh, immigration policies in all the ways that that might be relevant. Okay, let's keep going. Rosa Hollander, can we really fight anti-Semitism? I mean, yes and no. I think that bigotry in general is a regrettable feature of the darkness of the human heart. Anti-Semitism is a unique manifestation of hatred and bigotry. And there are all sorts of reasons for why Jew hatred is unique amongst the constellation of bigotry. All bigotry is horrible, but certainly there's something unique about Jew hatred. Uh, it waxes and wanes. Yes, you can create cultural values that makes it somewhat less acceptable to openly uh, uh, espouse Jew hating positions. That's what we had in the West for a while. But as you saw, it takes very little for then the Jew hatred to come back with full aplomb. So I don't think you're ever going to create a vaccine that eradicates fully Jew hatred, but hopefully you could rein it in. Currently, we're experiencing an orgy, a tsunami of Jew hatred. Very, very worrisome. Uh, Genamb, Genamb, what can cure the Canadian jealousy of Murica? I don't think anything because I think it's part of the Canadian ethos to define ourselves contra our really mean Southern cousins. And so I think there's always going to be a this tension between the bigger brother and the smaller brother, the classic sibling rivalry, because ultimately we're always, well, of course, we've got our unique, beautiful culture and country and topography and so on. Uh, we're always going to be in the shadow of big, mean cousin to the south or brother to the south. So I think it's part of the fabric of Canadian reality. Sun Wu Kong, regarding the seeming rise of anti Semitism in the West, is it more of the same or the reaction to Orthodox thinking the last century? P.S. My Rosh Yeshiva used the term for tsundoku. Oh, and look at it right here. Tsundoku. Tsundoku is sort of a obsessive bibliophile who engages in endless collecting of books. And when I once described my very, very serious affliction of tsundoku, it's a Japanese word, then a fan sent me this thing that you see right here. Look what kind of fans I have. It's unbelievable. Uh, what causes the rise of anti-Semitism? I won't repeat it here. I've discussed it in many, many forums. You can perhaps go and listen to I think my chat with Barry Weiss, I certainly discussed some of this stuff. And so it's a multifaceted set of reasons. Uh, but hey, I love the fact that you brought in uh, Sanduko into the discussion. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, what do we got? God, I wish I could read all these comments. All right, do we have anything? Oh, we got Bartolome Esteban comes back. Dr. Saad, something more for your troubles. I've read about assortative mating. How powerful is it? I understand we subconsciously are drawn to people who are similar to us in many important ways. Have a good night. Cheers. Have a good night as well. And again, thank you for your unbelievable grace. Every single time that I read one of your messages, it's as if I'm taken back to an era 200 years ago where people wrote handwritten letters with all sorts of beautiful salutations. And so your parents raised you right, my good man or woman. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman. Uh, Assortative mating, as I mentioned earlier, is the idea that we tend to prefer, as for spouses, people who are similar to us, who are similar on important foundational life values and objectives and so on. The research is really unequivocal. It's quite clear. By the way, assortative mating need not only apply for values. For example, we engage in assortative mating when it comes to height, meaning that it is almost impossible to see naturally occurring couples where the man is shorter than the woman. As a matter of fact, there was a study done now several decades ago where they took, I think it was 720 couples, like real couples, and I can't remember if it was one or two out of the 720 where that relationship was violated, where the man was shorter than the woman. So yes, women will say they like tall guys, but certainly what they want is a taller guy. So if a woman is 5'2", she could well be with a 5'8" guy, and that's fine. But if the woman is 5'10", that same 5'8" guy, who may be handsome and gorgeous and athletic and funny and accomplished and a professor of neurosurgery, suddenly his 5'8" height becomes a bit more of a problem because the woman is taller. So yes, assortative mating is the game in town when it comes to human mating. Okay, Honey Vidal, message retracted. Okay, but thank you for your donation. Sun Wukong comes back. Carl Benjamin and his Lotus Eaters believe that Marxism is the natural step from secular liberalism. Thoughts? I also sadly Rob O'Neill and SEALs aren't who they say they are. Oh boy, I don't know about that. You're talking about Rob O'Neill, the gentleman that I referred to earlier, who was part of the Team 6 of the Navy SEALs who had killed bin Laden. I don't know what you're referring to here. Uh, Marxism is the natural step from secular liberalism. I'm not sure that the only way that you get to Marxism is through secular liberalism. Uh, as a matter of fact, I think that there are, several cases where Marxist ideology infiltrated the society where it wasn't necessarily the consequence of secular liberalism. But I get the general idea. The idea is that when you have secularism, therefore you have a loss of religion, and therefore something else has to come and fill the void. In this case, I'm assuming the argument goes that Marxism becomes akin to a quasi-religion. I'm not sure if that's the argument you're trying to make. All I could say is that Marxism is perfectly anti-human nature, in that uh, human beings did not evolve to exist in social systems that are defined by Marxism or socialism or communism. To repeat a quote that I've often said, when E.O. Wilson, who recently passed away, who is a entomologist, who was an entomologist from Harvard, he studied social ants, when he was asked about communism and socialism, he said, "Great idea, wrong species," meaning that while ants are communistic, human beings are not. While ants are Marxist, human beings are not. And so the reason why Marxism has failed everywhere that it's been tried is precisely because it is anti-human. human nature. All right, let's keep. By the way, I have been on Carl Benjamin's show on a few occasions, and I think he's been on my show once, if I'm not mistaken. Great guy, really like him. All right, here we go. Let's keep going. Vlad, hello, Professor Gad. Do you know anything about ancient Jewish polytheistic religions? If yes, can you please provide some literature about the topic? No, I don't know about Jewish polytheistic religions. Uh, what I do know is that Judaism was the first monotheistic Abrahamic religion, but I don't know about what could have preceded it. And I'm not sure how we would use the term Jewish, which is a monotheistic Abrahamic religion with polytheism. So you'd have to educate me about that. I don't know. I don't know about that. Yusuf Al Timimi is back for round three. Thank you for replying, and you did not upset me. Just want to say I saw your last appearance on Joe Rogan and learned from you. So thank you. Oh, shukran habibi. I'm assuming based on your name you speak Arabic. Anjad, shukran. Truthfully, thank you. Uh, Lev Kush Narev, what do you say to those who vote for Carney's CV? Uh, they're idiots. First of all, we know that allegedly his doctoral dissertation is full of plagiarism. He's not, when I've heard him speak, he certainly not, I was not impressed by anything that he said. So the fact that he supposedly has a good educational pedigree doesn't mean that you're going to be a good prime minister. Uh, Justin Trudeau did not have a good educational pedigree. His highest job that he had achieved was to be a substitute drama teacher before he entered politics on the wave of his father's last name. So I don't think that we should judge the value and the likely success of politicians based on their pedigree. Because if that were the case, then I should be the emperor of the universe because I've got all of the academic pedigree that anyone could ever have. But that's not what's necessarily important. I mean, look, it's nice to be educated, but there are many, many other things that we look for in our politicians. Certainly, a politician who is not parasitized by all of this globalist bullshit is one that would do Canada a service. So there you have it regarding Carney. Satharion. I don't know if I said that correctly. Love you, Gad. Love you right back. Thank you. I'm a Christian that recently learned that I have Jewish blood. I seen you recently posted a picture of you in synagogue. Are you picking your faith back up? You know, a lot of people, there was a period where I spoke out against religious intrusion in science, where, it seemed as though I'm hostile to religion. Oh, God is Jewish, but he's an atheist. I don't like that appellation because it kind of removes in people's minds my Jewish identity. No, I'm as Jewish as can be. That doesn't mean, though, that I subscribe to all of the religious practices inherent to Judaism. So, for example, I don't take seriously the edict that we shouldn't eat shrimp, right? Not because, again, as I said, I practice some milder form of Judaism. It's because, you know, rightly or wrongly, I don't think that these rituals truly come from God, O Lord. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu. Okay, I'm doing a Hebrew prayer. I don't think that this little tiny rock in the grand universe of which God is the ruler of the entire universe really cares that I don't eat prosciutto. There are very earthly reasons why those kosher edicts would have arisen, very biological reasons, very evolutionary reasons. And I discussed those, by the way, in The Consuming Instinct, my 2011 book, which you should all read. Right now, go buy it. If you haven't donated, or even if you have donated, go buy The Sad Truth About Happiness. Make me happy. Buy my happiness book, make me happy. Why? Because it's a fun read. It's a great read. But anyways, so in that sense, I am atheistic to this notion that there is a ruler who, is, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Judaism is a multifaceted construct. There is a shared religious heritage, there is a shared ethnicity, there is a peoples, a real historical people, right? I have green eyes. It makes part of my identity. Coming from a Jewish heritage is part of my identity. It's one of many parts of my identity, but it's there. So I don't like this thing. Have I returned to my faith to look at your exact question? Uh, yes, in some sense, right? So, for example, I could have gone on years now without ever mentioning anything about Israel or anti Jewish hatred and so on. But October 7th forced me to care again about my Judaism, right? But for years, I could have gone on never ever mentioning anything about being Jewish or not, or about pro Israel or anti Israel. You could go through my X feed and not see a single tweet about Israel for 10 straight years. But because the Jew haters really care about my Judaism, then it becomes incumbent on me to, in a sense, stand up and be counted for. So, in that sense, there is a commitment to the Jewish cause because we're a real people. I know that I had to wear really good running shoes to outrun those who wanted to kill us in Lebanon. And in that sense, yes, of course, it is always part of me. But it's not, oh, I've decided to now, no longer eat prosciutto because I suddenly want to be more Jewish. It's very hard for someone to have lived their Judaism more than I have. So, but yes, you are right. You did see me at the synagogue. I was putting on the tefillin because I am Jewish. I do come from you know, hardcore Orthodox Jewish, Lebanese, Arabic background. And it was my son's bar mitzvah. And the dad, you put on your tefillin. So in that sense, yes, I did it. Do you speak Hebrew? אני מדבר עברית, אבל לא טוב. I do speak Hebrew, but not well. I can't have a deep philosophical conversation, but you throw me in Israel in 6 months, and I will be Maimonides. All right, where are we at? Boy, we're approaching 2 hours, but I'm loving it. Okay, Soli 1234 AWD2 comes back, I think possibly for round 4. Thank you so much for your generosity. Would you bring you here on your show? Sniper that took, well, I'm starting to think that you are the publicist of you Kier because earlier it was, would you come on his show? Now the question is, will he come on your show? Would you bring you Kier on your show? Sniper that took part in siege of Musakalla, voted one of the great battles in UK history by the National Army Museum. Taliban were bribed $1 million US to stop by UK government. I don't know anything about this gentleman. As I said in my earlier response, please have his people send me an email. I'll certainly try to look at it and then we can take it from there. Thank you so much. We are one. Tal Oran has been touring and educating people about Israel. He has really interesting perspective, is well spoken, and his family are Farhud survivors. I think it might be cool to have him on one day. Farhud survivor, for those of you who don't know, was a purging of Iraqi Jews in, I think, 1937, if I'm not mistaken. And so that's what he's referring to. His family, meaning his ancestors, a couple of generations ago, are Farhud survivors. Same responses I gave the person immediately before you. Have your folks contact me, and we'll see. We'll take it from there. There is right now a huge queue of people who reach out to me. Just sort of once you get kind of the platform that I have, if I just tell you the number of publishers who are trying to get their authors to come on the show, so it's never I'm never trying to be dismissive or anything. It's just I have limited time. I have limited availability, and so please don't be offended if I end up either number one not responding, which I almost always try to, or number two if I don't take up an invitation for somebody to come on my show or vice versa. It's really just time limitation. David Masih in Arabic is Christian, or al-Masih, like literally Jesus. Love you, Gatsad. Love your work, man. It's so humiliating that an Australian dollar is only worth 88 cents Canadian, but I love you anyway. Well, thank you for that. It's. I remember when I was a first semester doctoral student at Cornell University, I took a course offered by Professor Richard Thaler, who ended up winning the Nobel Prize in 2017 in behavioral economics. Uh, Unbelievable course I took with him. Uh, and at one point he was joking. I go, "Oh, you're Canadian, Gad, right?" Yeah, yes, professor. He goes, "But I mean, your money is not. It's fake money, right? It's monopoly money." I always remember that joke, and so it's nice to know that our lowly Canadian dollar is at least stronger than some currency. My apologies for that, David Massieh. Next, all right, here we go. Martin. Oh, hold on. Oh, wait. It just went ahead. Sorry, I'm going backwards to make sure that I don't miss anybody. Stay with me. Stay. So, I said before, hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, here we go. Next. Martin Thomas. Assad in Syria before Arab Spring was not too bad. I mean, it depends what you mean. I mean, as I said earlier, when you have a strong dictator, it often creates stability in a society because you need that strong armed dictator to keep other types of extremists at bay. And so I knew that when uh, not Hafiz al-Assad, Bashar al-Assad was that Hafiz al-Assad was the father. When the son was forced to leave, a lot of people were, woohoo, we're free of the dictator. I'm like, yeah, well, wait till you see what comes next, as we saw. So it's not that one is endorsing this brutal dictator, but it's that in that region, oftentimes the devil that you know is better than the one that you've yet to meet. So there you go. Okay, Martin Thomas comes back. Syria used to get millions of tourists. Yes, by the way, I have Syrian ancestry. I mean, very recent ancestry, right? Uh, so before from up so my parents are Lebanese, some grandparents are Lebanese, but then some are Syrian and then came to Lebanon. And so yes, there used to be a, by the way, no, I mean sizable, not sizable, but a small Syrian Jewish community, which of course now has also disappeared. So yes, Syria, all of these regions. To my earlier point, I mean Damascus, I think, if I'm not mistaken, might be the longest consistently existing city in the history of the world, or some number like this. I mean, it's thousands of. I mean, the richness in those lands is astounding. Imagine if you get rid of all this bullshit, everything. I mean, yes, people can still retain. There are wonderful things in Islamic history, Islamic architecture, Islamic poetry, Islamic arithmetic, mathematics, philosophy. There is Christian tradition, there's Jewish tradition, there's Zoroastrian tradition, right? So if you could keep all that rich history, but remove all of the hateful tribalism of the region, my God, could you imagine that we can all go visit all those beautiful countries without worrying that we are Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and so on? Unbelievable. What a world it would be. One can only hope and pray. Okay, let's keep going. We got Soli 12348WD2 is back. Really appreciate your advice for being mostly bedridden. It's been helpful. Oh, you know what? That means so much to me because it's always so difficult when someone who's really going through a tough time asks you for advice, and you always feel like I'm going to offer them something. I think it should be helpful, but I don't know. Am I an asshole for even thinking that I could offer any words of solace to someone who's going through such a difficult period? And so for me to hear that in some small way I was able to help you, hey, my time here was well worth it. Let me keep going. I'll be coming back to your words as they were meaningful. Wish you all the best. My heart feels the goodness of your words. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Go forth. Life is beautiful. And hopefully, my words, as you said, will always offer you a tiny bit of solace. Thank you, sir or ma'am. Let me go on. Voice of Truth. My friend Lisa Rosen is a longtime fan of yours on the X. Would you consider giving her a follow back? I'll have to go and check who it is and so on, but I'll keep it in mind. Thank you for raising her. I feel as though I might have retweeted some of her stuff. The name rings a bell, uh, but I don't know. I have over a million something followers, so I'll have to remember. But thank you. Okay, let's keep going. Approaching 2 hours, but hey, I'm here with you guys. God has more intellect in his baby toe than Dave Smith has in his entire body. Okay, well, I didn't know there was a competition, but thank you. Yes. Uh, let's keep going. Adventurer. Hello, Gatsad. Big fan of yours. Who is responsible for wokeism? Is it a conspiracy funded by the enemies of Western civilization or just dimwits in academia? Thank you. I only wish someone would have, say, written an entire book on your question called this right here. Where is it? I mean, come on, man. I love you, but Parasitic Mind, read it. It's exactly what you're asking. Thank you so much for your contribution and donation, adventurer, and I truly appreciate your very kind words. We still have 2 hours in, hundreds of people that are still here, almost 400 people. This is fantastic. Let's keep going. But why is it 400? Why isn't it 40,000? Why isn't it 400,000? Imagine if I can just open this up once a day, once a week, hundreds of thousands of people come, and we just have a lecture to the world, and I could be financially free to just do this, just be a true professor of the people, unbeholden to anyone other than to ideas and to my global students, fans. My God, can we make this happen? Can you, next time when I call one of these, invite 3, 4, 5 of your friends to join us? My God, what a dream it would be. Imagine I just turn on the camera and I say, hey guys, all right, let's talk ideas. We meet every Monday and Wednesday for 2 hours. And that would give me all the financial freedom to be able to write books, do this, and nothing else. What a dream. Help me make it happen. Okay, let's keep going. All right. Are we running out of questions? I don't think so. Let's keep going. Oh, here we go. Mocus Pocus. Do you think it's going to take people going through something to see the problems we face today as a society as a whole, like October 7th and 9/11? I wish I could say that a terrible tragedy wakes people up, but we know that it hasn't. What happened after 9/11? All of our leaders went and said, hey, Islam is peace. Islam is peace. This has nothing to do with Islam. Muhammad, Ahmad, Muhammad, Muhammad, and Muhammad, and Muhammad, and Ahmad, and Muhammad, all of whom said that they are doing this because of their religion, has nothing to do with their religion. Islam is peaceful. Let's let in millions more. It didn't wake people up. It actually made it much worse in the West. So I'm not sure that there is any reality that people can face that will wake them up, which, by the way, is one of the main sources. Whenever I'm feeling pessimistic, I'm a very optimistic guy, and by nature, I'm a happy guy, I'm a happy warrior uh, by disposition. But I look around, I say, God damn it, what is it going to take for the West to wake up? So I'm not sure. Look, after October 7th, did Jew hatred increase or decrease? Certainly increased. How could it be that the murder, rape, beheading, burning of 1,200 people resulted in an increase in Jew hatred? But it did. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm optimistic. Bay Le Q. Should society, economic administration, continue to subsidize economic inequality? If yes, why? If not, what would ennobler human quality than economic sufficiency to select for B? No, I don't think that it is incumbent on people to subsidize, quote, economic inequality. If economic inequality is due to institutional reasons, right? Like, let's suppose you say people who are under 5'8" should not have high paying jobs, so that the income of shorter people is due to institutionalized bigotry, then I say, yes, we need to fix that, right? We used to have misogyny against women. We used to have slavery. We used to have, in during Passover right now, we are celebrating the Israelites' exodus from slavery by the pharaohs, by the Egyptians, right? So there are institutional barriers to economic prosperity, but in a free society, economic inequality is simply the reality of a competitive process. If I spend all of my 20s studying so I can get a PhD at Cornell, so I could then develop the career that I have subsequently developed, whereas you were partying and having cocaine so that when I am 60 and you are 60, I have a lot more money than you do. F you. It's not for me to subsidize your personal choices, but it is that when you live in utopian socialist Marxist Canada, because we are a kind people. We don't want some people to make more than others. That's why we go to Saad when he sells a lot of books and say, hey, much of your mind, your thoughts, your ideas, your experience, your philosophizing doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the state, and we will redistribute your money to everybody else. If you care about that injustice, please consider supporting my work in any way that you can. Soli1234 AWD2 is back, not a publicist, but a fan of You Care. Okay, got it. Last 1,000 comes back. Oh, something happened here. Hold on. Let me go back. Sorry, go back. Not a publicist. Okay, got it. Hi, Dr. Saad. How do you find the strength to keep trying to find a job when it's been 7 months and you still can't find one? Should I give up? No, you should not give up. I have a section in, where is it? In this book. Go and purchase a copy now. Such a positive book. It's part ancient wisdoms, ancient philosophers, part contemporary science, part my own personal anecdotes that discuss happiness. And in one of the chapters, I talk about persistence and the anti fragility of failure. Exactly to your question. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. Michael Jordan. Lionel Messi was told he's too small to become a professional soccer player. Zinedine Zidane, the greatest French player, soccer player of all time, one of the greatest soccer players of all time, was told by the Algerian national team coach, because Zidane could have played for Algeria or France. The Algerian coach looked at him and said, this guy's too slow. Okay. Steven Spielberg was rejected not once, not twice, but 3 times from film school. J.K. Rowling, rejected by every publicist until the one publicist that gave her a shot. She's now a billionaire, one of the greatest selling authors of all time. So no, don't give up. Life is marshaling through a series of rejections, and then boom, here comes a victory. Okay? So no, do not give up. Good things are ahead. Never, ever, ever, ever give up. Never. All right, here we go. Brendan Lefton, do you still intend on writing The Parasitic State? Also, hypothetically, if offered, would you accept a professorship from UCLA? Wow, what a great question. Thank you for mentioning The Parasitic State. At one point, I had written a post on X, and I said, should I write Parasitic State or should I write Parasitic Taxation? And within a few minutes, Elon writes back, he goes, both. And I had actually gotten an offer to write a book on those. But then a bigger offer came for suicidal empathy. And so what I've decided now is to have a chapter in suicidal empathy on the parasitic state / parasitic taxation. Because what the parasitic state does to justify its means, its way of dealing with the population, is through an appeal of empathy, right? And so no, I don't, as of now, have an entire book planned on the parasitic state, but certainly there are hints of that in suicidal empathy. Would I accept a professorship at UCLA? So the answer here is a bit complicated in the following sense. Number one, yes, in the sense that Southern California is the end all for me. It's the promised land. It's not Jerusalem, it's Southern California. Forgetting about the woke stuff. But here's the problem. I'm no longer at a stage of my career where I want to be teaching regular classes where I have to, you know, proctor tomorrow's exam and tell Timmy why he got B minus in his participation grade. Not because I'm a diva and it's beneath me, but because life has a rhythm to it, a pattern, right? And so today, I'd much rather use the reality that I have as part of my toolbox to reach 10 million people rather than reach a classroom of 15 people. Not that that's not important. So I'd always want to be a professor, but a traditional professor position at UCLA where I have to submit, my progress report or whatever. No, I'm beyond that. So really, the types of professorships I want right now are ones where they give me the type of roles that are congruent with my profile. And certainly the university that I'm currently at, Northwood University, has exactly done that for me, right? They want me to be a global ambassador. They want me to promote their Northwood idea, which I do. I am doing right now, right here. And they've asked me to teach, but very, very little teaching. All of my teaching has happened within an 8-week period. Actually, tomorrow I'm teaching in the afternoon remotely. I'm teaching a course on the parasitic mind, but that's the kind of teaching. So if I were to go to UCLA, it would have to be under the recognition of where I am in my career, not as just some warm body who teaches consumer psychology and psychology of decision making. Okay, let's see if we can. Boy, I think this might be the longest one we've ever had. Loudon, Laf Night. Why have you been so utterly unwilling to criticize Trump's tariffs and threats of annexation? It risks making you seem ideologically possessed yourself. Uh, well, the threat of annexation is bullshit. It's Trump being hyperbolic. You have to be an utter degenerate moron to think that the United States is literally going to take over Canada. Okay. Am I being polite enough? You'd have to be an abject, lobotomized degenerate to think that that's true. This is just Trump trolling, number one. Regarding his tariffs, there are pros and cons to using tariffs as part of a strategy. Certainly, reciprocal tariffs is nothing that is uh, strange or inappropriate. It doesn't make sense that the EU has zero opening for American cars to be sold there, but there is complete asymmetry whereby you have a complete open market to the United States market, right? So, what Donald Trump is doing is seeking to create reciprocity. Reciprocity is one of the most fundamental dynamics in terms of an evolutionarily stable game theoretic strategy. It oils all dyadic relationships. Anything that is not reciprocal can easily turn parasitic. So the fact that I don't criticize his tariffs is not because I am ideologically possessed, it's because I have a fucking brain. Good enough for you? All right, let's go on. And if I'm getting a bit spicier, it's because I don't like the tone of the question. It's passive aggressive. Aren't you risking becoming a Trump guy? No, 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 no. I don't care about Trump one way or the other. I care about ideas. It makes perfect sense from rational choice theory for the president of a country to pursue his country's best interests. Point final. Next, Sun Wukong. I was in yeshiva for 7 years. Uh, for a yeshiva guy, Sun Wukong doesn't strike me as a Jewish name, but okay, who am I to say? I was in yeshiva for 7 years in Jerusalem. My experience with Arabs there wasn't positive, to say the least. Growing up in Syria, what do you find most beautiful about Arabic culture and Muslim culture? I didn't grow up in Syria. I grew up in Lebanon. I was born and I grew up in Lebanon. I have Syrian ancestry. Uh, Probably the number one thing that I love about Lebanese culture is the hospitality, right? If you come to our house for dinner, prepare to put on 10 pounds. And if you don't put on 10 pounds, we are insulted and offended that we weren't good enough hosts for you because you have to eat 17 plates. And we're going to spend a week feeding you. We're going to force feed you because we want to make sure that you walk away having felt honored and respected as a host. And that's true across Lebanese society, whether you're Lebanese Christian, you're Lebanese Maronite, you're Dirzi, you're Muslim, you're Jewish. It's an indelible part of Lebanese culture to be hospitable, to be warm. When you interact in Arabic, it's a very flowery language. When you go to a store, of course, as long as they don't find out now that I have a dirty secret, shh, shh, I'm Jewish. Shh, 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 don't tell them. But if they don't know I'm Jewish, which now it's kind of difficult because people recognize me, but in the past, if I speak to them in Arabic, therefore I'm their Arabic brother, they don't know I'm Jewish. I don't have this dark secret, this dark disease called being Jewish, and I speak in Arabic, the way that men will speak to each other. Oh, what can I get you, my heart? Oh, my soul with the beautiful eyes, what can I get you? That kind of flowery language, that kind of passion, that kind of hospitality is beautiful. And it really uniquely exists in a very unique way within Arabic culture. There is a convenience store next to our house where I mean the store owner I think is Iraqi Muslim, but the guy who mends the store is I think Algerian, also Muslim, but he's a big fan. Every time I walk in there, he starts doing like poetic incantations to me. Oh my God, Professor, you are as beautiful and as wise as the sun. It's a very Arabic way of speaking that, Westerners can't even begin to imagine. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. There you have it. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. My God, we're going to break the 3 hour mark. Okay. Martin Thomas is back. I have ASD and can't study for exams. Help me, please. ASD, it's not A, or I think you maybe meant ADD and you misspelled the S part. I'm trying to think what is the acronym ASD. If you have ADD, uh, it's a very broad question. I can't tell you how. I can't give you a one sentence answer on how to better study, but I can tell you maybe you shouldn't be in this live stream if you need to study. Although I bet that you've probably got more education in this 2 hours and 15 minutes so far than you probably did in some bullshit course that you're taking. That said, best of luck on your exam. Rosa Hollander is back. Do you believe we can actually fight anti Semitism, or is Aliyah the answer eventually? I think you already asked that in a slightly different version. Uh, I don't think Aliyah is the only answer. Aliyah, for those of you who don't know, is to kind of for Jews to return, the right of return to Israel. I don't think that's the only option. For many people, it is. But I think that we also have to stand tall and proud and say we're not going to put up with this anti-Semitism, right? Just like we wouldn't put up with the, anti-black hatred or homophobic stuff. There's somehow some affordances that are allowed when people are openly and brazen in their Jew hatred. Ah, fuck those Jews. We can hate them. No, all kinds of bigotry is terrible, and we shouldn't tolerate it in the West. And it is truly the case that Jew hatred is really the proverbial canaries in the coal mine. If a society starts to normalize Jew hatred, prepare for some real ugliness to come down the pike. All right, let's keep going. Mr. Aka, did you face any anti-Semitism from Maronites in Lebanon? Uh, I mean, there are individual instances where I faced Jew hatred. I can't confirm if every single one of those cases was a Muslim or not. or Maronite. I can't say in every case, but it is certainly the case that while many Maronites might not have been Jew haters, there are many Lebanese Christians that are just as avowed in their Jew hatred as their Muslim brothers. So there's a bit of everything. All right, let's keep going. Think we're almost at the end. No, not quite. Transparency and merit. I don't see culturally progressive Zionist and conservative Zionist debates. The ADL will never meet with you, Gad Saad. Oh, I'm not sure. Okay, there's no question. It's just a statement. I don't see culturally progressive Zionists and conservative Zionists debate. The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, will never meet with you, Gad Saad. Meet is written here MEAT. I think you meant MEET. Okay, well, thank you for your thoughts. It's not a question, but fine. Rona B, do you have a list of questions people can ask themselves to self-diagnose, detect, and/or dismantle parasitic thoughts? I ponder this often. I mean, I don't have a questionnaire, but there are certainly a set of principles that you can either strongly agree or strongly disagree to that will tell us if you have been parasitized, right? I do not believe that people should always speak their minds, strongly agree, strongly disagree. Well, if you say strongly disagree, it's probably because you think, well, you shouldn't say something if it hurts someone's feelings. So that would be a way to measure your commitment to absolutist freedom of speech. So I don't have a specific scale in mind, but there are now some studies that are coming out where you measure sort of people's woke score or parasitic infestation scores. I have a project that I was working on with one of my graduate students where we would have actually addressed a lot of the stuff that you're asking. I say would have because that student has unfortunately disappeared. Often what happens with students who are doing theses or dissertations, they just get sucked into a black hole to never return from it again. And I hope that this guy will resurface, but he's now disappeared. I'll keep you informed if I hear back from him. Okay, sorry for all the messages that are here in the chat, but I think I have answered everyone. No, not quite. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Oh no, I haven't. Oh my God! Thank God I checked. I would have missed all these questions. Uh, okay, that one is done. I think yes. Let's maybe end it after this so that we don't keep going. Although I'm loving this, I could go on for another 10 hours. Amelia Pisano, good evening. Thank you for being you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Amelia. No question, just nice words. I appreciate it. Let's go on. Who do we got? We got Tilrin. Any chance you'll be creating a course for Peterson Academy? It would be incredible to see your ideas explored in that format. Thank you for that question. They reached out to me from the get-go when they first launched Peterson Academy. And since, for the past 3+ years, we've spoken many times. They've wanted me to do, I think, up to 3 courses. For whatever reason, maybe they're a bit disorganized, who knows. It's never happened, but it's always been our goal to have courses taught by me under the Peterson Academy rubric. So let's see. Jordan's people reached out to me recently. They want me to go back on a show. So there certainly will be a conversation between Jordan and I happening soon. I'll keep you posted. Thank you so much, Tilren. Squarehead, you've mentioned before that the vast majority of professors are liberals, left-leaning. What is your response to the argument that this actually demonstrates that liberals are more educated? Well, the answer to that question is already covered in literally that exact question is covered in chapter 1 of the Parasitic Mind. So go read it and all will be answered there. Let's keep going. What do we have? What do we have? Emilia Pisano is back. It would be my honor to feed you and your family. Oh my God, thank you. I'm not sure what you mean. Is this, you mean you are about to send me a non-taxable, non-strings attached $1 million that will feed my family for the next 10 years? Or do you mean you'd like to invite me over for dinner? I'm not sure what that means. Nonetheless, thank you very much for your kind invitation. I appreciate it. Going on, I think we're almost done. Not quite. Oh, we still have, okay, 3 more. Mocus Pocus is back. How important is freedom of speech in America for the rest of the world? It's crucially important because United States remains the singular superpower. The United States has the First Amendment, which other Western democracies don't, right? Canada's got hate speech laws and all this bullshit. United States has it enshrined as its First Amendment, the fact that freedom of speech is inviolable, short of, direct incitement to violence and so on. So if freedom of speech fails in the United States, it'll be back to the dark ages. Mira, just a straight donation. Thank you so much. Loudon Lafnight comes back. Do you think Trump threatening, oops, do you think Trump threatening the seas of Greenland is reasonable and moral and respects the autonomy of Greenland? Okay, I'm not sure if you're the same person who said about annexing Canada. Uh, in the case of Greenland, I think there's maybe a bit more truth to that one. I think there he might be a bit more serious about possibly literally purchasing Greenland. I don't know enough about what's in his mind to be able to make a definitive pronouncement. But look, Donald Trump is the ultimate deal maker, as you know, right? The art of the deal. So he takes all sorts of position. He throws all sorts of things just to jockey for negotiation positions. And so I would both take things that he says seriously and also take them with a grain of salt, given the fact that he truly is a master negotiator. That's all I can say. I think we're done. Let me see. Let me see. Yes, we are. People, 2 hours and 21 minutes. Unbelievable. We've had between 400 and 500 people throughout the session. I hope you've enjoyed it. Oh, we've got somebody else. Things are so bad that I said rosary for Sam Harris on Palm Sunday from Keith Gardek. Sam, please stop referring to him as Sam Harris. Be respectful. He is the Malibu meditator. He is the Malibu meditator taking you on a journey of meditation and inner calm, other than the fact that he blames everything in the universe on mean Donald Trump. So the same guy who from this side of the mouth goes, please watch your breathing. From this side of his mouth screams all day about Donald Trump being the existential threat. Guys, thank you so much. I think my wife is about to divorce me. My children are about to disown me. It has been fantastic. Tomorrow I have to lecture for 3 hours. Wish me luck. It has been such a pleasure. Please, if I go many, many months without doing one of these, send me an email, say, hey, Jew boy, what's up? How come you're not doing a live stream? I want to do these more often. It keeps me sharp. I have fun. I hope you have as much fun as me. Thank you so much for all those who came, all those who donated. Talk to you soon. A bientôt. Ciao, everybody.